Hello, Matt and Josh. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's our pleasure. Look, you weren't on the call when we kicked things off. We recounted some feedback that we received from a few fans of the show. We actually asked a poll about whether or not people have gone against the advice of medical professionals and run. Anyway, you have a little story of your own, I believe.
Well, it was just recently, actually. I went back to my doctor and I do have a little bit of arthritis, and she suggested that I was a bit old to be running and that I should just stick to walking.
Ooh, you don't
that
say
was-
that to a runner. No.
It's not the first doctor that sort of mentioned my age and running. So I think non-runners just don't really understand. Yeah, she was about my age, but I don't think she's ever run. And I myself don't think with arthritis, it doesn't matter whether you're walking or running, it's pretty similar anyway. So, but some people think, you hear the old saying, it's really bad for the knees but it isn't actually. So
No, it's not.
No, there's a lot of research that has refuted that and continues
I think it's quite
to.
the opposite actually.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
that,
exactly
going
right.
side to side, like football, like rugby league players, side to side and stepping, that's where the knees go, not the forward motion of running.
Well, I used to play netball when I was younger. That's where the knees, that's the problem. Or roller skating or skateboarding.
Shona, you have a very active and just an incredibly well curated Instagram account. And I encourage everyone to check it out. Shona runs slowly.
Very slowly it is. You missed out the very bit.
I actually remember now what it was that caught my eye. There's this photo you took, and I think you can see this like wafer thin gap between the bottom of your shoe and the ground. And I think you were like, people don't understand the amount of effort that it took me just to get this amount of knee lift or something like
I think when I started, I did a few, you don't know how hard it is just to be, an average everyday, basically just a runner. A slow runner is even extremely difficult. And I still find it difficult, but I'm getting there.
I think your story is incredible, but interestingly enough, when we met last year, we had a coffee together. You said that you didn't think that your story would be interesting enough to share. Can you tell us why that is?
I guess in this world where most runners you see are young and look gorgeous and glamorous and running fast times, I guess I thought, who would be interested in, a 60-year-old running very slowly and a new runner at that, and not a very good runner. So I guess I thought, I'm not sure anyone would really be interested in listening to me talk, but I've since changed my mind slightly. I've followed a few other older runners, and I can see what a difference it's made, even me listening to them, how encouraging it is. So I guess I want to be in that position where I'm encouraging other people to start running, no matter what your age.
I don't think you can say like I'm not a good runner. Like running's running, no matter whether you're running fast or running slow. You're running. You're doing a lot more than other 60-year-olds out there.
I'm almost 61 soon, so that's scary. I thought about that today. Actually, I was thinking in the car about any pace is a good pace because I had a run last night and I was quite slow and a bit disappointed in myself. And I thought, well, I don't even know why I'm worrying about the pace. I'm out there, I'm running, I'm still getting there in the end. So it really doesn't matter. No one else cares what my pace is. It doesn't matter to anyone else. So as long as I'm running, it shouldn't matter at all. No, you're right. Yeah.
You weren't on the call for. So we did a bit of an introduction at the start of this episode, which if you listen to this, and I hope you do, at some point in time, you'll hear that I refer to you as an accidental runner, and I sort of mentioned not in the same way that Matt is accident prone. Now, I'd like to elaborate a little bit on that because I think it was 3 years ago that you started with walking, and I think you gradually built up to 40 minutes, I think, to complete a 5K.
I think. It was like 3 years ago, I think I did a under 50 minutes 5K, and I was really excited that I got to that. But I have very small steps.
Mm.
And so it got to the stage where there is no way I could have walked any faster. It was just impossible. And I thought, well, maybe I have to do a little bit of running in there.
So what made you even try run? I mean, if you'd set your sights on just walking in 50 minutes, what was the point? What was the trigger where you went, you know what, bugger this, I'm actually going to try and
I
get the
guess
legs off the ground?
I wanted to get it over and done with faster. Like, how can I make this take less time in my life?
Mm.
And I do have a husband that's a runner, and I thought it might be a nice thing that we could do together. I knew obviously I'd never be anywhere near his speeds, but every time we ever went on a holiday, he'd go off on a run and he'd come back and tell me all the great things he'd seen on his run. And and you do get to see a city in a totally different way. And I would do it walking, like we did a UK holiday, and I did a lot of walking, but it was cutting into a few hours of the day. And I thought, you run a bit, it's not cutting into so much of the day that you can spend with your family too as well. Um, and and then I get to see the city the same way he does, which is a really nice way to travel.
Mm. And we'll talk a little bit more about your husband and the role that he's played in your running journey. Now, early on, you had quite a big setback. If memory serves correctly, I think you broke your ankle and had torn ligaments.
I had 2 torn ligaments and very badly and a broken bone, and that was just when I was still walking. I did a little twist of my ankle when I was walking very fast, and I hadn't yet started strength work, so I didn't have a very good strong core, so if I ever tripped, I just kind of went right over, which made me realize I really had to work on core strength and which is really important as you age. So I had contemplated running just before that happened. So obviously that put me off for another 6 months. And I wasn't even able to walk I was in a moon boot for 3 months. So
My
that,
goodness.
that really put me back.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
then not
guess
long after that, or a calf muscle too. So
so.
yeah,
I guess, yeah, physically that was a big setback. Did it set you back confidence-wise at all as well?
it definitely did. Because I'd had another few little falls. And I thought, I thought it was just my age, and then I started reading about strength training, and I thought the only way I'm going to prevent this is if I have a really strong core, so that if I do a little trip, I won't just lose my balance. And I guess it did take a while, and that's what scared me about running. I was always scared if, how am I going? What happens if I run and I trip? That could be pretty disastrous. And funnily enough, since I've been running, I have never had a fall. So. Oh, except sorry, no, last year I did have one where I broke the other bone in the other ankle, but that's
You're
No,
another
kidding.
story.
jeez. Uh,
But that was
So
a
was that
trail run, so that doesn't count, so, mm,
doesn't count.
mm.
What was the recovery like from that second, ankle break?
It was really good because I did the right thing and went to the physio 2 days later. I didn't muck around at all, followed her instructions, did all the exercises, and I kept it strapped. So within 6 weeks, I did the Burnie 10 kilometres, I think 6
nice.
or 8
Yeah,
weeks after I did that second break. So,
that's
I
good.
did it slowly and it was still a little painful, but, it was really important that I got straight back into it because I just didn't wanna waste any more time. Within about 2 weeks, if I don't run, I notice a big difference.
Wow.
So it doesn't take very long to lose a bit of that fitness. So, yeah, that's the scary.
Well, you certainly, demonstrated a lot of resilience there, Shona, after coming back from those injuries. Something clicked, I think, early last year, 2025, and you really accelerated your running goals. You started tackling 10K events. Was it 2 half marathons as well?
No, just one. I just did one half marathon. Um, I I signed up without really thinking about about it. I I had only really barely run 5 kilometers without walking, and I just wanted to set myself a challenge, which is one of the things I really love about running, of being able to achieve things that I never thought I could do in my entire life. So Kangaroo Island came up, I think came up on Instagram, and I thought that looks just amazing because you get to run through a national park that's closed for the day with amazing views, and I thought it was hilly, so I thought that's a good excuse. I can walk up every hill, and it didn't. I think it was like about 5 hours you had to finish, so I knew I could finish. So, and it was one of the best things I have ever done in my life. Like I'll just
Really?
never forget crossing over the finish line, and the emotion I felt was just I just cried. And it was just incredible, really incredible that I could do that. Mm.
I
So I'm
think
very proud of myself for that one.
well, we're proud of you too, Shona. I think it's wonderful to hear you speak about yourself that way. If memory serves correctly, when we first met last year, I think you suggested that you weren't in general an overly emotional person. And so you kind of a bit surprised when you crossed the finish line that you had
Yeah,
that visceral response.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really was, and I did it under 3 hours, which I know sounds very long for a lot of people, but, I thought in my mind about 3.5 hours. I thought, and then just towards the end, I'd kind of stuck with a few people, and a woman said, "Oh, I'm gonna try under 3 hours this year. I'm gonna, really run the last few kilometers fast." And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna do it with you." And so I think I got a couple of minutes under. I can't remember my exact time now, but so that was even more exciting because I never thought in my mind I could ever get under 3 hours. So it was pretty special. Mm.
Did you know
And I
you were
had
on
my
track?
husband with me, which was really, really lovely for me too, to have someone running with me, supporting me the whole way. It was really lovely. Mm.
So did you know that you were on track to run a sub 3 hour half marathon,
No,
or was that just a bit of a
I had
bonus?
no idea.
Yeah.
Because we stopped right in the middle too. There was a toilet stop. I didn't stop, my husband did. And, I should have just kept running because obviously he could have caught up to me. But, he stopped, and then I stopped for about 5 minutes in the middle of it. Had I even realized I was getting anywhere near 3, I would never have stopped anywhere. I would have just kept going.
That's fantastic. Oh, wow. And you mentioned to me as well that you have this, maybe it's not an overt goal, but maybe it's kind of like a secondary benefit to running about inspiring other women, especially women who are postmenopausal. What can you tell us about that and why it's something that you care so deeply about?
Well, I guess, our bodies greatly change, once we hit menopause, and we don't talk about it enough, about what women go through and the changes.
Mm.
I'd put on, I was fairly thin my whole life, and then I had my last child at 40 and kind of just never lost the weight and just put more on. And that's how our bodies change. It doesn't, we can still be eating the same amount and everything, and it just totally changes. And then I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, and I had still a child in her teens, and I thought, I really have to do something about my life. And I've never run in my entire life. It was something I totally avoided. It was something I dreaded at school. It was just like, honestly, my worst nightmare to think of ever running even a kilometer. I couldn't have thought of anything worse in my whole mind. And I guess once I started the walking and then thought about the running, it just changed my life so much. It made every holiday better. It made me so much more confident in myself. It just made me feel so good. Everything about my life has changed. And I think a lot of women lose their confidence through menopause. It's a really hard time of your life. You feel like you're going crazy half the time. Running also helps with that. You can get out and run when things feel bad at home. It's great for your mental health. And I think if other women realize that it doesn't matter if you've never run ever before in your life, unless you've got an actual disability, I believe anyone can run. I really do. If I can, anyone can run. That's the truth of it. I'm the unrunniest running person in the world. I really am. So I
Uh,
really would love to encourage women to feel so good like I do about themselves and about what they can achieve in life. So if I can help other women do that, that makes me happy too.
do you think that in one sense that men also have a role to play in terms of helping to provide support to their partners and women in general that are going through menopause. So my partner's going through perimenopause at the moment and has just started
Yeah.
HRT. And it's something that, I mean, like you say, it's not really spoken about. It certainly wasn't a conversation that was had in my childhood. In fact, there was almost this pejorative way of talking about women that were going through changes. It was like they were, they're going loopy, they're going crazy kind of thing, and there just wasn't even this sort of conversation about why that is and how men can play a role.
Oh, even I even help with doctors, even with GPs, don't even talk to you about it. You get basically help nowhere, and you do think you're going crazy. So having a husband not tell you you're going crazy helps for a start. Um, I think just having someone that's really supportive and maybe is prepared to learn more about what women are going through in menopause and how hard it is for us. And I have a husband that helps a lot. He helps a lot around the house. We don't. It's never been me doing everything. I've never. I wouldn't be married to a man that was like that. Um, he wouldn't be my husband. So, a lot of women, are stuck going through that, still looking after the children, taking the emotional burden of the whole family, even to the extent of they decide what's for dinner, make all the decisions. It's really important to have leeway to not have to make every decision for your family, to give you time to go out and have a run or get away, to give you a break from all those things is really important too. And hopefully men are better at that now. I don't know, but I've certainly been very lucky though in my
I've,
life. Mm.
yeah, I mean, I can't really speak necessarily generationally for whether it's changed. I feel as though there's been maybe an organic shift. I don't think there's been a paradigm shift in terms of those. I still feel as though there's largely genderized and stereotyped roles and responsibilities in the house. But I sort of wonder if you can give us a little bit of insight into, I guess, the mindset of postmenopausal women. How do they typically feel about themselves when they sort
Um,
of
I guess
going?
the good thing is once you go through after menopause, you realize that you weren't really crazy. It was just, you become a lot calmer. Like obviously, this is the calmest I've ever been in my life. You really stop caring about what other people think of you, which is, I guess, which helps you start running because you don't care what other people think. It doesn't matter anymore. You just learn to love yourself a lot more, and you're more confident in what you can achieve in life, I think. And you also start to put yourself first, not always last, which when you're a younger woman, unfortunately, everyone else comes before you. And as you get older, you realize that that's not sustainable, really. If you don't look after yourself, it's very hard to look after other people.
Mm,
So I guess wisdom comes with age too. So that's
yeah,
something that I've really enjoyed. I absolutely love being an older woman. I love it. It's really the best time of my life. And I would never have thought that you could be in the 60s and say that about yourself, but it's amazing. I love it. Really
That's
oh,
love it.
really,
that's
really
fantastic.
good to hear. Yeah, really good to hear.
You
And
hear a
also,
lot
you don't
about.
have to care about, how you look or all those things that unfortunately, we've been taught to as women to care about, our weight and what we wear and all those things that they no longer become important. It's more about health and just how good you feel.
Mm.
So,
And
it's
showing up, which you're doing time and time
mm,
again, and you're giving it your all. And I think as runners, we often overlook the effort and the commitment to the process. It's not necessarily about improving splits and improving times, but
Mm.
you're showing up time and time again. And we'll talk in a we'll talk in a few moments about how you apply yourself in some quite extreme ways. So we'll come to that shortly. But I think, Shona, we probably almost need a full series to capture your incredible life story. Amongst other things, you've run a number of successful businesses, and I think you're studying sports nutrition at the moment. You just
I
started.
am, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What can you
I,
tell us about
I
that?
s- that I'm very bad at studying. and that ADHD and study are just two terrible things to go together. So I'm not very dedicated. I tend to start a lot of different degrees and not finish any. So that's the story of my life, really. So I have no doubt I won't finish.
Are there any regrets? Do you sort of look back at any degrees that you started and didn't finish and think, oh, I sort of wish I'd kept going with that?
5 years of a 6-year architecture course, so I guess I do regret that.
Wow. Yeah.
I did, yeah. But I had children, so I stopped studying, and I had been working as an interior designer and with architects, which I just loved. I loved working as an interior designer, and I designed furniture, things like that. You know, I did a lot for the Hyatt Coolum when that first came out, and big jobs like that. So, and I worked with one of the best architects in Australia. So I was, really loved it. But then I had children, so I made a commitment to stay home with my children because my mum worked, and it was something that I found really hard as a child. So I married an architect. That's not my current husband,
Mm.
and so he kept going and studying. We were actually both still students, and I stayed home with the children. So I guess I do regret that I didn't finish that, but in saying that, I had in my mind that I was going to be some famous architect, and I probably wouldn't have been, so it would have been a bit sad anyway. So that's okay.
Life happens
I
though,
guess
and I think
It
the
does.
fact that you learnt from your parents and what you wanted to give your children is, that's amazing. So I think the fact you didn't finish, you took a different pathway. It's not a failure.
I and I guess that's why I love running now, because it sort of makes me put myself first. And I have 4 children, so I've never really done that in my life before. So um, I think it's important to do for
Mm.
yourself, something that's, you know, just for you. And that's what running is. It's something that I do just for me.
so. Let's stick on the theme of sports nutrition. Where do you see that going, and how has it changed the way that you either fuel, train, or recover?
Hasn't changed me enough. That's my downfall.
Yep.
It's because I'll really quickly mention this, but it's not something I obviously want to dwell on. You know, I've lost 50 kilograms over the last 3 years. So
Mm.
I
Amazing.
basically lived in a calorie deficit for 3 years. So it's hard to get over that. And it's hard to not be worried about sustaining that. And unfortunately, it's incredibly hard to run on a calorie deficit. It's almost impossible if you do not fuel yourself right. Runs are terrible. And every time I have a bad run, it's because I have not eaten correctly. And you can't just live on gels and chews like I try to, just before a run. Like sometimes I just down the jelly beans just before I run and things like that. So I'm learning to have, really balanced meals. Obviously, carbs are really important. I'm fantastic at carbs before an event. I'm so good at it. I love it because I go for 3 days just carbing up, and it's the best 3 days of my life. Um, but otherwise, I'm pretty bad on a day-to-day basis still. So I guess I wanted to study it to just more help myself, because it's imperative to feel right. It
Mm.
really,
Mm.
it's just one of the main things, and it's one of my worst habits actually, of just not eating enough food before I run. Like I've gone on runs at nighttime with eating nothing during the day, and that's just disastrous. So
I have
Mm.
too,
don't do
Shona,
that.
and it hurts. It kills you. And I think the thing is, you touch on a good point. It's you're going from a couple of years deficit now to having to fuel. It's really hard to
Mm.
adjust. And it's a mindset,
It
because
it is.
you start thinking that, oh, if I eat that much, I'm going to put on weight. When in
Mm.
reality, you got to eat that much so that you can burn that much.
That's right. And then often if I do eat, I think, oh, now I have to run more, which is a really bad mindset that I have. And I'm
One,
trying to get over that as well. But
it's something I think we've spoken about on a couple of episodes. Even though we know that we shouldn't be conflating diet and exercise, we
mm,
still seem to.
it's
We've earned,
unfortunate. Yeah.
yeah, this mindset of we've earned a burger or we need to run
Mm.
off that pizza. It can be quite a dangerous trap to fall into.
Oh,
Mm.
definitely.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. And it's something that that's sort of one of my goals this year is to just really nourish my body and care about it and, be ready for the runs and feel really great after every run as well. So
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing great, Shona, and hopefully you can continue to apply yourself with the sports nutrition, whether it's in a personal or professional capacity.
we'll see
Yeah,
how it
we
goes.
we certainly hope you continue along that journey. Now, travel has become a huge motivator for you with your running. What can you tell us that's different for you about racing or running somewhere new?
Um, that's the thing about me. I can't do the same run over and over.
Mm,
Um, I live where I live now. I'm about a kilometre from the river. So, just shoot me if I have to keep doing that run. That first kilometre I'm going through kind of industrial Albion, and then I get to the river and then I have to dodge people that never move out of the way too. So that's another story. Um, but something in my mind, I just can't keep doing the same runs. And so when
Mm.
I go to a new place, it's just to me, just thrilling to go to different areas, and you can never see a new city better than on your feet.
yeah,
Like, you just can't. You go down little alleys, little places that you wouldn't even normally see if you're just being a normal tourist. I don't go on a holiday now without a run, like without a run of mind, which is really
Yeah.
bad, but I think, why go to another place and not do a race? Why not? Um, it's just more exciting, you
it
know.
is. And we spoke about that a few weeks ago that I used to judge people that would run on holidays. I'd be like, why would you do that? You're on holidays. But
Why wouldn't you?
why wouldn't you? Exactly right. Something you love doing. And now I'm actually, most of my trips away, I plan around an event.
Oh,
And yeah,
every trip I do is around it. I guess it's harder if you have little children. Now,
I
because I
don't
used
know.
to be a bit resentful of my husband, and I'm truthful. We'd go on a holiday, I'd have the children, he'd go off for a run, and I'd think, "Oh, you're getting all this time to yourself, and I don't get that." And I was a
mm,
bit resentful of that because you can't just leave little ones at home. Um, but I guess if you both run, you just have to have turns. So,
yep.
yeah,
Mm.
That's exactly right, and it sounds
mm.
like you and your current partner have that understanding, which is fantastic. And as I mentioned at the start, we'll chat about his role in your life shortly. You also mentioned to me that you seem to get as much value and utility from your own goals as much as helping strangers across the finish line. What can you tell us about some of those moments and what they mean to you?
Uh, I guess that's one of my favorite things about an event, is helping people along the way, whether it's even just chatting or, I think I told you at the Gold Coast last year, which was a very hot 5Ks. I was originally doing the 10, but I had that injury. So I swapped down to the 5, and I think there was about a kilometre and a half to go. And I was stopping and starting because I was just too hot. And another woman beside me, she was quite young. She said to the man she was running with, "You just go ahead. I can't run anymore." And I said to her, "Let's do it together." And so we just started running together, and we just kept talking. And I said, if we do it together, neither of us need to stop. And and we didn't stop then, and we went across the finish line together. And it just felt so amazing to do it together. I didn't know her name. Would never speak to each other again,
Oh,
but we
wow.
both kind of congratulated each other, and it just helped us both get over. It doesn't just help me, it helps, it's both of us getting over. And I love that feeling. I just love the feeling of community too that running brings, and sharing joy with people when they achieve something like
Mm,
Mm.
the same as, you're achieving it. It's really lovely.
Mm. I got huge goosebumps then.
it's yeah, me too.
But
um,
it is. That's what I love about it, Or I often go past young people and say, "Come on, you can. If I'm old, if I can do it, you can," and that tends to get them going too.
Mm.
one of the tenets of the Runbelievable project is celebrating the human side of running, and that's certainly what you just shared with us encapsulates that to a T. It's the kind of stuff that Strava simply can't show. It's those visceral moments, those human moments that it's just
I think
beautiful.
that's what's the most amazing thing about events. It's not whether you win or lose or where you come. It's about the shared joy and experience with other people, and you're all there doing the same thing together and trying to achieve something, and it just feels amazing. And I've never experienced that before because I've never been a sporty person.
Mm.
Apart from I got the wing defence, position, which no one wants in netball. Um, it's always me, the wing defence, great. Apart from that, I've never really, I've never been involved in sport to understand the feeling of that, of just achieving things and doing it with other people too. So I do.
I don't think much comes close to that though in sport. Like,
Mm.
you can get that in team sports and that sort of thing, and it's a shared experience. But I don't know. I've played sport my whole life, but running is just different in terms of we all know what each other's going through. We all know the mental pain, the physical pain, and we're all doing it together. And it's something that you don't actually realize is going to happen when you start running until you actually go and do those events, and that actually happens. And to me, it was exactly the same. It was like, oh my God, this is where I want to be. These are my people. And I'm sure
Yeah,
you got to that point. I'm sure you got to that point at that 5K. It's like, this is my thing.
there's nothing better than crossing that finish line. It doesn't matter what position you're in. It's irrelevant. It's just, oh wow, I've done it, and you other people are feeling exactly the same emotion, so you're going through the same things, and everyone's so happy and joyous at the end of the line. We're exhausted, one of the both or both, but it is a great feeling, and I guess that's got me hooked. I did 11 events last year in my first full year of running, and
Goodness.
I'm probably going to do quite a few more than that this year. So I've got a lot lined up.
Now, we mentioned a couple of times, and you've mentioned more than a couple of times about the role that your husband, Jason, plays in your life. He's lightning fast. He's
Yeah.
also, I think, a running coach, but he's also your mentor and incredibly supportive of your own running goals. What does it mean to you to have someone like him in your corner?
I don't think I could have achieved. I'm not a person who likes to do something by themselves, unfortunately. Maybe I sound a bit codependent, but I find it hard to. I don't even run by myself, very rarely ever
Mm.
do a run by myself. So the fact that he is prepared to do every single slow run with me, and, I'm half the pace of him. And he never complains. He seems really happy to do it with me. We've now made Friday night run into our date night run. So we, do a beer or a snack in the middle of our run, and that's what we do every Friday night. He makes me feel like I'm amazing no matter how slow I am, and he's always making me feel like that there's everything that I achieve is even more amazing than it is. I'm so lucky to have him supporting me. And he is a coach, so I don't listen to him though, but as a coach, which I should, tells me have a rest day, like, I don't. And you'll injure yourself, and I ignore him, and I do. But yeah, he lets me buy my shoes and never complains about, how much money I spend on. And obviously he loves it too, because I never complain about him entering any races anymore. He gets up at 4 o'clock every Tuesday morning. I don't complain about him waking me up to do his training. Um, I never complain about his runs. And I guess I used to a little bit because I didn't really understand. I'd say, why you're away for hours.
Mm.
Now I
Mm.
say, just go,
Mm.
So it's made life easier for him too, I think, because I can understand where he's coming from now too. So, and it's just lovely, I think, as a couple to have something that you both love that you can do together. And
I
I
sort
feel
of
like it's really brought us closer, actually. It's
Yeah, I
been
was just
really
going to ask, whether having a shared interest has sort of helped galvanize your relationship.
it, we used to always work together because, we're weird and we do like to spend, every day together. And so when we stopped working together, I didn't see him as much. So now running's sort of brought that back, that we do spend a lot of time together. And, I do. I mean, he chats a lot when he runs, whereas I'm just out of breath. So that kind of distracts me, which is really good from the pain sometimes when he's just chatting away and, talking about all these PBs and whatever else he likes to chat about, or who he's going to beat. And he's sort of brought me into his world. He's got a lot of running friends, so we kind of hang out with them a bit as well, which is nice. And then chat about more running. And
Yeah.
I guess his main interests in life are running and rugby. So now he can talk about running. I still don't let him talk about rugby, especially the All Blacks. He goes to the All Blacks. I go, no, don't talk about that.
Oh, there we go. It's okay to still have boundaries. There's no issues with that. Shona, now, is it true? This is sort of like a weird feedback loop. So episode 4, we interviewed someone called Mighty Mark. Now, your partner, Jason, is clearly a very supportive person. Did he give Mighty Mark his very first first running watch?
He did indeed. Yes. We used to see, Jason knew Mark from when he first started running, and then we'd see him at Chermside Park Run, and he was talking to Jason about doing the Brisbane Marathon, and he was just using his phone for timing.
Yep.
And Jason said, you cannot do a marathon with a phone.
No.
You can't. You have to have a watch. And he said, I've got one at home. I've got a new one. I'll bring it to you next week. And he did. So
that's awesome. That's a really cool story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, it's certainly been great to see Mighty Mark go from strength to strength. But sort of love that sort of little connection there that your
we saw him again on Christmas Day, and he's such a lovely person, Mark. He really is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mentioned a little bit earlier, Shona, about you applying yourself in quite an extreme way. Now, I can say that because you did tell me that one of the challenges you have with yourself is that it doesn't matter what kind of run you're doing, you go hell for leather. You go flat out on every run.
I do, unfortunately. I have. It's a bit harder in summer, to tell you the truth.
It's a lot harder.
I found summer running incredibly hard. This is my first summer running, and it's been a shock. But I guess I really love the feeling of being totally exhausted. Maybe it's good for my mind. I'm not sure. But I feel like I haven't really had a great run unless I get home and I just am totally, totally exhausted. So if you look at my heart rate on every run, I'm always in zone 4. Every single run, I'm thinking, I don't know how to do that zone 2. I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to achieve that, but I really do have to try to sometimes. But when you're already a slow runner, it's pretty hard to go much slower, really. But anyway.
Well, I don't know, Shona. It sounds like you're applying yourself to your absolute max as hard as you possibly can, and I have no doubt that you'll start to see some improvement as time goes on, especially if you get yourself a pair of carbon-plated shoes, which I know a few people are trying to talk you into.
I actually looked at Pro 4s this morning.
Okay.
There are a few on sale. I went, oh. But yeah, I do have a lot of shoes to wear out, so I'm trying to do that first. I do have one carbon-plated pair, which I'm saving for. I'm not sure what, but maybe the next 5K I do. I'm not sure. Certainly for winter anyway.
Now, you started I believe you started the Slow AF Brisbane running group. Is that true?
We did. I guess I wanted to find some people that were as slow as me. And I said, I'm going to start a Facebook group, because I had been in the original. There's a huge group, I think it's based in England. I'm not sure. And I thought, I'm going to start a Brisbane one, because then we can do, weekly runs and they'll be all slow. And so we did. And we used to run every Wednesday morning from Fonzie Abbott at Albion.
Okay.
As soon as I started it, that's when I broke my foot. So I didn't go for the first 6 months, but Jason went, which was really hard for him because he was fast. But he would take the slow group until I could actually join. And then when I first joined, I was just still a walker. So, and then,
Are you at all surprised that they didn't kick him out of the group?
He didn't tell them he was fast. He just ran slow with him. And then I joined, and I've made some we don't do it anymore. I kind of got I find morning running really, really difficult. I much prefer running at night, and so I actually stopped going to my own group, so it slowly died. But I've made some lovely friends out of it, and I'm still friends with them. And we're starting beer runs up again soon. We do a Sunday once a month beer run, so we're going to start that back up again
Oh,
when it
nice.
gets a bit cooler. So we all go for a drink afterwards. So
So
that's
That's
that
good.
nice.
group's so that group's still going, is it?
The Facebook group's
Yeah.
quite big. No one really says much in it. Sometimes I say a few things.
Okay.
But some of us used to meet up. We'd meet up, we'd say which park runs we were going to, so we'd do park
Okay.
runs together and things. I did a couple of runs towards the end of last year with a few people, but the beer runs we'll get it back going, I think, in March. So we normally go at Stafford. There's a brewery there, and then we run from there along the brook and then back and have a drink. So that's
Yeah.
always fun.
And you're not done yet. Before we finish up, Shona, what can you tell us that's on the horizon for 2026?
I've got 3 half marathons and a marathon and, a lot of 5 and 10K events. So, I pretty much just, want to do every local event there is, so I don't have to travel to those, and then I have to be a bit careful about, which other ones I do. I work with Atlas Events, so, they have Hobart, which I'll be doing, but I think I'm only doing the 10K in that one. And Gold Coast, I'm doing the half. Brisbane, I'm doing the half. That's with Atlas as well. And they have cans, so I haven't signed up yet, but I might. And they've got a new one in Harvey Bay, which I might try to. So I don't know yet, everything yet, but my diary's getting pretty full.